Welcome back, everyone, to 1 Minute Recess, the podcast where we try to figure out WTF is going on here in Nevada and around the world. My name's Annette Magnus.
And I'm Maria Teresa, or Maite, or Maria for short. And this week has been a little chaotic, especially here in Nevada, I think.
Every week's chaotic, Maria.
Every week. Yeah. We're in the year of our goddess, 2026. So, of course, it's chaotic. So, you want to dive right in?
Yeah, we have a lot to get to. I have a lot of hot takes this week, a lot of irritation this week. So let's dive right in.
All right. So, we'll run a couple of you on YouTube needed more of a longer explanation, so we won't go through your comments, especially the people who racially stereotype, assuming we are a pair of Anglo women, which we're not, by the way, especially one of us. So those were comments we dealt with directly in the comments. But I want to highlight this week is going to be different, Annette.
Were they saying we're two white women? What were they saying?
Now
I want to know.
Now you want to know? Okay. You want to?
I want to know.
All right. I'm going to read her comment. She's responding to our comment from last week. And I replied to this person's comment. And I say this person because I totally forgot her name or username at Queen.
Well, yeah, because now I'm making you do it because you weren't going to read it.
Yeah. Now I was gonna do a thing where I was gonna highlight the one good person that we thought wasn't good, and we'll finish with that one.
Yeah, that'll be our grand finale.
Refresher. So we'll do the bad and the bad, ugly, all in one, and then the awesome. Queen Koopa, for those that don't know, responded or commented on a video about us where especially Annette was talking about having friends who are Republicans. No, the word Republicans, not bigots. Also, there's a difference between being like a MAGA-ist and a Republican, like a real Republican.
Right.
And a bigot, obviously. And, she had a comment about how lucky for you. Some of us can't have relationships with bigots. And we talked about it at length here. We also replied via text in case, you don't like to watch things. And Queen Koopa comes back with, statement stands. You want to act dense, like you don't know what the state of the world is right now. And I find it hilarious. Typical white woman stance, by the way. So that's quite an assumption. So this was my response to her.
Did you respond in Spanish, I hope?
Well, I could totally do it in Spanish, too. I could do it in Italian as well if you want. And Irish, since you're Irish. I could do it in Gaelic, too. It's a terrible job assuming we're Anglo, by the way, yet pretty impressive to lecture people about prejudice while instantly flattening strangers into ethnic or racial stereotypes just because they disagree with you online for 12 seconds. You keep arguing against a point nobody made. By the way, nobody said be friends with bigots. You can be friends with people you disagree with. Is not the same as bigotry is good. That's a distinction most emotionally functional adults can manage without collapsing onto fainting on the couch, which is true. At this point, you're not responding to what we said. You're shadowboxing a person you invented in your head and calling it activism. And that last line is to all of the people on both sides that generalize like y'all are part of the problem. And that's literally what the whole video was about, that this flattening of people into black or white or Republican MAGA versus progressive and no nuances between is literally how we got here.
It's funny. Yes, I'm a white woman. And sometimes there's problematic shit that comes out of my mouth because we're all not perfect, right? I fully admit that. Like, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to do better. One of the ways I'm also trying to do better is trying to listen and learn people I don't agree with. And I think that makes all of us better, right? Now, I'm not saying if somebody's out here, using horrific terms or calling people homophobic or transphobic things, like I'm gonna put up with that shit. In fact, many, many, many times in my life, we've gone to war about that stuff with people. But there's also ways we can reach across the aisle and do better about listening and understanding on issues we can work together on. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's almost like you should look at why people across all demographics voted a certain way in 2024 instead of just assuming many things. But I wanted to highlight a comment. This will be the good, and you'll love it. On TikTok, we had someone asking us, what's the point of the video from MIT showing
Back you're good.
yeah,
What's the
it's
point?
it keeps going. And remember, Rick at Rick82SVT asked, "What's the point?" last week, and we went in on the context, went in also on the comments. Rick responded with, "Thank you for the context," and not like in a joking way, like literally just thanked us for the context. So Rick at Rick82SVT, you win best comment of the week because that's actually how conversations should go.
Okay, what's the good?
That was the good one.
Mm, mm. Okay. I'm just jaded at this point. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep, so those were the comments.
All right. Hang on a second. We need to cut that part out. We can do that last one again.
Wait, what happened? Why?
Idiot candidates. Why is not saving my screenshots? Hang on. Save to photos.
¿Qué pasó? ¿Bien? Sí. Pero estamos here.
Read that last comment
Okay.
again. Hello. Hang on a sec. Hang on. I need to ignore her. Okay, read that last one again. I wasn't paying attention because she was irritating me.
Okay. All right. Okay, you ready for the good comment from
Yeah,
the internet?
let's hear it.
So, opposed, different from. Hang on. Are you leaning on your keyboard? Let me click
We're
that
having
again.
all kinds of issues tonight.
That's fine. If you look in the doc, one of the lines is it's not letting me edit it, but it's whatever.
That's so funny.
It's like,
Oh my god, that's so funny.
okay.
Hang on a sec. Okay, let's try it again.
That was the terrible comment of the week. You want to hear the good comment that originally was going to be the only thing you had to deal with today, comment wise? This is from at Rick82SVT from TikTok. He was also responding to a comment we said last week. In his original comment, he asked, "What's the point?" to the MIT video showing Nevada's number 2 in election safety and processing. And he asked, "What's the point?" We said what the point was, both in the video and in the comment to his comment. And this week he says, "Thank you for the context." Not like
Oh,
you
good.
suck or haha, just thank you for the context. And you're welcome, Rick.
that.
Like that's
See,
actually
that's one of the times where we shouldn't assume. Good
right.
reminder. Thank you for that. We shouldn't have
Right.
assumed that that was being a douchebag comment, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sometimes it's a real comment. So that,
Yeah.
hey, that's
Sometimes
on
it's like,
us.
what is the
See?
point? Yeah. See?
I like
See,
that.
Queen Koopa or whatever the fuck your name is. Look at us doing what you should do. Because yeah, you're right. I was like, wait, now that I'm reading this. But see, that's what this whole discourse on the internet especially has done, and this polarization that we think anybody that comes with especially a question, you think automatically they're being an asshole. When in
Yeah.
reality, they don't know the things you know.
Sometimes may not understand the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, that's why a lot of times many people disagree and things, it's because they don't have access to the information that you do. They don't know the things you do. They don't have the life that you lived. And therefore, they're going to disagree with you. They're going to ask questions. Note again, nowhere did I say, and they're racist.
No.
Anyway, thank you, Rick, for
Good job,
doing
Rick.
what Queen Koopa couldn't. All right. So we have a lot to go through, especially locally. You mentioned you have a lot of hot takes. You want to dive right into the local lowdown?
I'm so irritated this week.
Well,
You can see it all over my face.
Can't tell.
And my tooth. I'm irritated and my tooth hurts and I'm tired because I'm not sleeping because my tooth hurts. So I'm rip roaring and ready to go today, Maria. Let's dance.
All right. The first thing we have is it's
You're
election
opening
time.
up with an easy one.
I know. Election time. This is from, we're giving the folks in Northern Nevada a shout out. The link where we got this from is from This Is Reno. So good job, This Is Reno, for sharing this. The Secretary of State, so for the whole state, Secretary of State Francisco
But
Aguilar.
this is by our friend Susan Potter from the Public News Service. They ran her story. I love
Yes.
Susan Potter.
Susan Potter's
She's
great.
amazing.
Susan Potter's great. And so there is a new website that you can go to, and we will put a screenshot of the website, and we will also put the link in the notes or in a comment on YouTube so that you can see what this is. Because what the story is that the Secretary of State from Nevada, Francisco Aguilar, has created a whole site for voters to help find their polling location before the June 9th primary election. So if for whatever reason you don't have that information, and that can be many reasons, you can use this website to, no matter what county you're in, whether you're in Clark, in Washoe, in Lyon County, you can have one site to go to find the locations. It's also, I know this is nerdy, but it's a PDF. So if you want to print it out for whatever reason, you want to have it or hand it out to friends or whatever, you can print it out. It's an easy PDF. So once you click on your county, it takes you to all of the polling locations on that in that county. So very good resource. Also shout out to that new website because it also has lots of other information that voters may need to be able to understand how the 2026 election, especially the primary, works. You can see judicial candidate questionnaires. You can track your ballot if you are doing mail-in ballot. So, things are in tippy top shape in that. And you can see lots of other candidate public information on there. So it's a full on resource, a voter guide, if you will, from the Secretary of State, which is amazing.
That is amazing. So let's talk about the elections. We're smack dab in the middle of it. We're ready. So mail ballots should be hitting your door sometime this week. They were mailed last week by your county across the state of Nevada. Mail-in ballots are still very safe and secure in the state of Nevada. I've even heard some Democrats recently be like, I don't know about our mail-in system. We have a good Secretary of State. We have a legitimate mail-in system. I worked really hard with other people in this community to set up that mail-in voting system. So use it. I'm using it. That's how I like to vote. So I'm waiting for my ballots to come. I'm super excited about this primary. There's some really interesting races in this primary, which we will talk about in a moment because I have a lot of hot takes on them. And then, you can also vote in person. So early voting starts this Saturday. So that is May 23rd. And it runs for 2 weeks and through June 5th. And then election day is on June 9th because obviously they need a couple days between early voting and election day to get everything ready to, ramp up, make sure that election night goes smoothly. You can mail your mail-in ballots until June 9th. They must be postmarked by June 9th for them to be counted. So you have your mail-in ballot. If you don't want to vote by mail, you take it to the voting location, your polling location, you surrender it, and then you vote in person, or you can vote by mail. It's very easy, very secure. Everything in Nevada is still on the up and up. We have a great Secretary of State. We trust the process. So make sure you're casting the vote in your primary. We do not have open primaries in Nevada. So if you're a Democrat, you have to vote for Democrats. If you're a Republican, you vote for Republicans. If you are nonpartisan, you only vote for the nonpartisan seats. So judges, things like that. And I should say, if you got questions on a candidate and you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Or what the fuck does this person stand for? Brie and I've worked with most of these people. Believe me, I've got a lot of opinions about all the people on the ballot, and I'm happy to share them with you one-on-one. I also know a lot of the judges, and we can talk through the different judges that are on, especially in Clark County. Not as familiar with Washoe and Northern Nevada, but I can definitely get you the answers for somebody who does. So if you got questions, we've got answers. Message us, email us, call us, whatever you need to do. But make sure you participate in the primary election because I have a suspicion this is probably going to be a low turnout primary, and it shouldn't be because there's a lot of important races on this ballot.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Share some of that frustration while we're all
Well, I'm
talking
frustrated that
elections.
it's a low fucking turnout primary when you have Donald Trump in the White House and you have Republicans destroying everything and you're not going to turn out and vote. Friends, this is who determines who will be on our ballot in the general election and go against people like Joe Lombardo. And you're just not going to show up. You're not going to vote. Like, are you kidding me? You have a race in Washoe County with 11 people on a ballot? You have 11 people on a ballot, right? Between the Republicans, the Democrats, and I think there's like a libertarian, a nonpartisan, an independent. You have a whole slew of human beings up for governor, up for that CD2 race up in Northern Nevada. One of the only open seats we've had in Nevada in a very, very long time for Congress. What are you you doing? Show up, vote. We're polling people right now. People are overwhelmingly saying they're undecided in most of these races. How? How are you undecided? Go to their websites. Ask questions. That's what we're here for. We want to help you. If you need help, there is no shame in asking questions. There's no way for a normal person in Nevada to know everything there is to know about these candidates. But for those of us who have the privilege of doing this work, we are here to help you and we want to help you. So ask questions. Trust
Yeah.
me, I got an opinion about every single one of these people.
You have an opinion?
Seriously, if I don't know something, you know who I went to today to get a list of judges? John Pirro, who is a public defender in Las Vegas. Like, well, no. I'm going to go to the people who I trust on these issues if I don't know who a candidate is, especially these judges.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and that's also a really smart thing to do, is that the people who know judges the most are the people that work the court system.
Yes.
So whether
especially our
it's a
public defenders, they're the ones who have our beliefs.
Yeah, exactly. So you definitely want to argue if you have a lawyer friend, or if you're not privileged to have a lawyer friend, if there's like legal associations or anything like that, look it up. And you can also look up the Secretary of State website, because they have a section for judicial questionnaire. Also, there's many different kinds of
Just
groups. So
regular
whatever,
questionnaires out there.
yeah, and if you have an affinity, whether you're a carpenter, there's the Carpenters Union. If you are if you're Asian American, there's the ACDC. There's various
no,
other
one
groups.
API, one
One
APIA.
AP. There's one APIA Nevada. I'll cut that other part out. So there's many groups for whatever you are, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, for primaries, that's it.
Nonpartisan.
And you get to see what those groups are endorsing. And from there, you can do your homework. And usually you'll see whether it's through the social media, whether, like, if you are a teacher and you go, like, let's use the Carpenters. If you go to the Carpenters Union website, or if you go to IATSE website or whatever, you'll see why. Like, they'll probably have the questionnaires, or they'll do ads for them, or they'll do social media. Like, get acquainted to those types of groups that do the work to find out where these candidates stand, especially judicial candidates, if they do judicial, but a lot of groups do. They will go all the way down, and just to see if they share their beliefs and get acquainted. But if you are still confused, we can be that resource, like Annette said. So feel free to drop a line. All the information is in our link in our bio, and you can drop a line wherever is best.
Yep, that's what we're here for. Ask questions. There's no dumb questions when it comes to voting information. How, if you've got questions on candidates, we're here to help. No dumb questions on that.
Yeah. And for speaking of questions, in Washoe, there's probably going to be some in Clark County, but this is being highlighted. Washoe County is inviting the public to watch election equipment testing ahead of the primary. So
I've heard Clark County is doing similar things, and you can always go and observe as the ballots are being counted in Clark County. You just go in and sign in as an observer. Marie and I have done it. It is an excellent way to learn the process and how our election system works. So I encourage you to do it.
Yeah, and we can do more. We can even do, I know last year or last session, we did a how to register for Nellis. We can do a how do you find out how to go observe in all of the counties, because every county, no matter and not just Nevada, the election process in the United States, in all of these states, is public, and there has to be a way for the public to be involved. So that's why these counties and these registrars have created systems and ways for the public to go and observe, especially the counting. Now, this around the machines, that is also to educate a lot of people that may not be acquainted with machines, that aren't comfortable with the machines. They can go ask questions. They can see how they work, because there's so much drama recently with voting machines, especially because Donald Trump stole some from Puerto Rico, even though they don't vote for president. But you can go see the machines before Election Day. And if you have any questions, whether you're in Clark County, Washoe, or anywhere in between, you can always contact your registrar.
100%. Yep. It's a good process. It's one of my favorite things to do, going and doing observing. Like, it always feels, I don't really get a lot of like sentimental, like patriotic feelings often. Like, I'm not like, hoorah, USA, because I don't believe in American exceptionalism at all. However, going and watching our election process, I'm kind of like, that's fucking cool. Like that makes me proud, right?
Yeah, especially because you really do see people unless you've been there, you really don't understand that it's people from within it's your neighbors doing it. It's
Yep.
not some the people that are actually doing the counting. It's not the elected officials. It's not like the Secretary of State certifies, but it's all the people that power these offices. And so you go and see them and it's Republicans, Democrats, in between, Green Party, whatever party, and they sit together and they work on this. And they're not fighting, they're not arguing, they're just diligently working. And
Wonderful.
it it really teaches you a lesson, back to Queen Koopa, how there are moments where you really get this sense of like, we can be better than what we are. And usually watching those folks just, usually see them with their head down, counting, processing something. And when you go, especially to they have these little tables where there's the volunteers where you have to have, a Republican and a Democrat to do the ballots that are where you have to reconcile, right? If there's an issue with something and they have to reconcile it. And it has to be both. And you see them talking to each other. Sometimes it's a nonpartisan, sometimes it's independent. So it has to be two different parties talking. And I've never seen one swing at each other. I've never seen one they're able to make things work, right? And I think I get the same feeling that you do because of that. Like they're just
It's something to be
resolving
proud
things
of,
together.
especially because so many places I know, like, we're chipping back on voting rights federally, and, like, there's always that threat, but it is something really to be proud of in our democracy that, you know,
Mhm,
we still, for at least now, have free and fair elections, and
mhm,
that that works. The process still works. It is something to be proud of.
mhm,
Anyways, that's my little nostalgia of, like, when I hate election season, right? Like I hate working on candidate races and stuff. It's just draining, and it's that grueling hard work. If you never worked a campaign before, it is the kind of work where your gallbladder goes awry and you don't have time to go take
mhm.
care of it. Or in my case, my fucking tooth that's been bothering me since March has gone awry, and I haven't had time to go take care of it, right? I finally scheduled an appointment because I knew I
Woo,
was going to get screamed at. But it's one of those
mhm,
things during election season where everything kind of stops and, like, it's all hands on deck because there is a hard and fast deadline to educate people about, before they go vote. And it's different than legislative session. Legislative session is a different kind of grueling, right? Like it's a slog. It's a long time. You're away from home, but like you're making really cool policy, hopefully, or you're like having cool policy debates. So like that fuels me. This doesn't fuel me in the same way. This is like the slog for and honestly, like, as I get older, yeah, I'm 41, but, like, as you get older, it's hard. It's a physically hard thing to do over and over and over again if you've never worked an election. So, shout out to all of the election workers out there, the campaign people out there, because they're doing really hard work, and if you've never worked a campaign before, it's grueling shit. It
mhm.
is really, really hard work, and it's also really hard work to run for office. Like, people don't realize, we're gonna talk about my friend a little bit who's running. She's a flight attendant, works full time, and is running for the assembly. Like, that is insane. She's
Mhm,
texting me from, like, a Southwest plane about a social media graphic today, right? Like, because we're a citizen legislature in Nevada, and so, like, real people have real jobs and run for
yeah.
the legislature. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. It is not easy. I love both the session and the elections. I got my start in this in elections, so elections will always be the first, but it is absolutely difficult. There was one time where I had pizza for breakfast because that's all the delivery that there
What's
was
wrong with
was
pizza for breakfast?
yeah, pizza for breakfast. Yeah.
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. I do
No,
that
there's
when
nothing
it's
wrong
not
with that, but
campaign season. Listen, I'm a
right.
fat ass Italian. I love me some pizza for breakfast. That sounds delicious.
But, yeah, it is the only place that would deliver at the crack of dawn was
I'm into
pizza.
it.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
I I I feel so privileged now, even though, yes, I am in the thick of, like, election season. I have, like, a candidate in Arkansas now. I have candidates all over the place now. I'm in the thick of it. But I get to be at home,
Mm,
and it feels like I'm cheating a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, When you're
Oh,
in
'cause you're
election
home.
season, you're, like, out on the doors like, there's some of that, right? Like, I have a candidate who's, like, having a pizza party tomorrow, funny enough, with her constituents. She's been doing it for, like, 2 months now, and we do it once a week. So, like, there's stuff that we're going to and doing and stuff like that, and she's on the doors every single day. But as a consultant, you don't do that stuff as much. You're not on the doors, you're not doing the
Mm,
field anymore, you're just kinda running the field or you're running the social media and the comms, and so it's a little bit different, and it almost feels a little bit like I'm cheating because 'cause I'm at home instead of, like, being on the doors. It's a little
mhm.
weird. And for those that don't know and they're always like, "Annette, why
What does
didn't you
on the
run for" well, number 1, you can explain that better than anybody, but I'll finish this and then you should explain what that means. For anybody who's ever like, "Well, Annette, why have you never run for office?" There's a reason. Annette hates canvassing. I also hate
mm,
phone banking. I'll text people all day long, but that interaction, like, it's honestly where, like, my anxiety kicks in. Like, I'll go on TV and debate anybody. I'll do this kinda shit with you, like, whatever. Comms is fine. I doesn't make me nervous at all. You put me on the phone with a voter, oh my god. That gives me and I'll do it, but it gives me anxiety when I do. I hate it.
that's why I always say some of the best communicators are the really good organizers, especially
Yeah,
because it takes
and
a lot
I
to
had to do it when I was an organizer, like, I did it, but I did
Yeah.
not enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Annette just said, canvassing and standing in front of a voter at their door is what, hitting the doors and canvassing means. If you ever watch like a cop show, they'll canvass too. They'll say, "We need to canvass the neighborhood to see if anybody saw anything." Canvassing literally means walking from door to door in a certain neighborhood for a certain outcome, and you're just knocking on doors, asking people things. It's what salespeople sometimes do. And by the way, a lot of people will say, "Why are they still knocking on my door when I have a no soliciting sign?" That is
Oh,
because
never.
technically soliciting means I'm trying to sell you something. And when I'm talking about the elections and a candidate, I'm not selling you anything. I am informing you of things. So many people will see that a scrappy organizer will see that and go, "I'm gonna do it anyway," because technically. But now, if you put like no soliciting and no political whatever, that may, but that's if you get someone at the door and you said no soliciting, it's because of that.
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count. And yeah, phone banking is the same thing. It's where you sit or pace or do whatever you want to do and call people, calling and knocking.
Ugh.
And it's also really interesting because that is actually also the place where you get to, this Queen Koopa is the comment of the year because you're so wrong. Because if you've actually worked in politics and knocked on people's doors whom are different than you, disagree with you, etc., you will find that one person can have a multitude of opinions. You can have
Yeah,
someone voting for, especially in Nevada, voting for a Democrat here, a Republican there, a Republican here, a Democrat there, an independent here. I don't like this person there. And that's what that work is about. It's about asking them why and finding out what their concerns are, what they think, not just automatically going, "Oh, her name is Amy Smith. She's probably a Republican and a racist." Like, who knows? Amy Smith might be some, hippie liberal that is more progressive than anybody combined, but that's what it takes. And those conversations are very, very difficult. It seems easy, but it's really difficult
it's
because
such especially when it gets hot out, like, I'm out
Mhm,
especially, like, shout out to all, like, the paid canvassers and stuff, like, those are the people
mhm,
who, like, are paid to go door to door because, like, if these districts are really big and, like, a candidate can only do so much, right? Like, you've gotta do
yeah,
multiple passes, meaning you have to go to doors multiple times because people have lives and jobs and things like that. In a lot of places, they've actually stopped canvassing. In Nevada, it's like a thing you have to do, and honestly, like, some of the organizations who are best at it are, like, the Culinary Union, that's what we're known for, that's what is called field. So going
mhm,
out in the field and, like, talking to voters. But
mm,
it is grueling hard work that is in the sun, you're outside all day, you're dealing with dogs, you're dealing with crazy people. One
mm.
time, I mean, you know this, you've canvassed in the South before. Like, when I worked for Planned Parenthood, they sent me to Mississippi to freaking canvass on personhood, fetal personhood, which is a whole horrible thing that, like, basically the fetus is counts as a person, and if you have an abortion, it's like murder, yada yada. They're trying to change the law. We beat it back in Mississippi. It was a really important thing. Also, I think that was in 2012. It all blends at this point. But canvassing in Mississippi, not only was it hot and it was humid there because it was during
Yeah.
I think it was during their primary, if I remember correctly. Anyways, it was hot and humid, but it was also I had some of the most wild shit said to me at the door. Well, this was when I had my, like, pixie cut, my short pixie cut. People were like,
Mhm.
"I just know you're a lesbian." I'm like, "I mean, no, but if I was, that's cool too." Like,
Was it the hair?
it had to be. Who knows? Who knows, right? I was also, canvassing for women's rights, so, like, who the fuck knows?
Oh,
But
of course you have to be lesbian.
yeah, I've had a gun pulled on me at the door when we used to canvass for Planned Parenthood. I've had it pulled on volunteers. I killed my car during the Pat Spearman race because it was during the heat, and we were car canvassing, which is basically the same thing, but it's so fucking hot out. You drive from door to door because if the doors aren't close together and like one door is down here and another door is all the way up the street, you drive between the doors, right? And then a
Mhm.
person hops out on both sides or one side. And me and Mary Bogus were canvassing in my car for Planned Parenthood for Pat Spearman. My car just died. It was like, nope, we're done, bitch. You've done too much.
Yeah.
It was my
Yeah.
childhood car. That's why I have the new one or the other one because it died during that race. So anyways, there's
That's
a
right.
lot of stories like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
That's election
Those
work.
are the
It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart
No.
at
Shout
all.
out to all the election workers out there. And shout out to all the election workers who work at our polling locations, because that's another thankless
Yeah.
job. They deal with crazy people all day. They're out in these tents and parking lots that are like right outside my house. Shout out to all the people who do election work and actually like are poll watchers or like are
Mhm.
actually working the election booths.
Yeah.
Such good work, such important work. Those are
Yeah. Yeah. The people that make it work every single election season.
yep, yep.
They're the ones
Okay.
really doing the work.
So before we go to this last piece, which is super important, I want to talk about because fuck data centers. I want to talk about who's on the ballot because I do think it's really important, and I
Mhm.
want to go through some of the really important statewide races. And if you guys are on your sample ballots, because you should have gotten your sample ballot already, so not your actual ballot, but your sample ballot, telling you who's going to be on your ballot. There
Mhm.
are some critical races, especially if you're a Democrat. There's also some critical races if you're a Republican, especially up north. So I want to just highlight a few of those. And again, if folks have questions, like I'm not going to talk shit. I want you to know good information about all of these people. I want you to be able to ask questions about who they are, what they stand for. Because Maria and I've worked with 99.9% of these people a lot.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you the honest to God truth. So the first race you need to watch is the governor's race. Now, Joe Lombardo doesn't have a primary, at least not a real one. Then on the Democrat side, because Joe Lombardo's an incumbent, which means he's already in office, we
Mhm.
have Aaron Ford, who is our current attorney general, and
Mhm.
you have Alexis Hill, who is a county commissioner in Northern Nevada in Washoe County. Both are
Mhm.
good Democrats. Both we have worked with many, many times. We've had lots of conversations with both of them. And yeah, I think both of them, honestly, are wonderful human beings, would make great governors. I have opinions. If you want to know them, I will share them with you one on one. But I think either one of them would make a great governor. And it's a really important race to vote in. Let's see who else. The next one, lieutenant governor. There are three, I believe, Democrats on that ballot. One is like a fire dancer. I think one is a social worker.
Mm.
And then one is Sandra Howdigi, which is our current state assembly majority leader. She's leaving the assembly. She's going on to run for lieutenant governor. There's also Starvos Anthony, who's our current lieutenant governor, who is incredibly problematic, like Joe Lombardo is. Sandra Howdigi, we've done a lot of work with her. We actually worked with her on our gun violence prevention issues. She is a survivor of the 1 October shooting, and she has been a tremendous champion on gun violence prevention. And so she's amazing. But the other two ladies, I've met them. They seem lovely. So happy to answer your questions on those folks. The next race is Attorney General. I have very strong feelings about this race, Maria. I'm sure you do too. We have two people who we know very well running in this race. The first is Senate Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro, and the other is current Treasurer of the state of Nevada, Zach Conine.
Baby bonds.
If you have questions, baby bonds, if you have questions on this race, reach out. This, to me, in this current ballot, on this current timeline that we're in for the primary, in my honest opinion, this is the most important race that will be decided during the primary.
Mm.
I think the governor's race is super important. That primary is super important. But this one is like the most heated, most discussed,
Yeah.
hottest primary there is on the Democrats. You're probably seeing ads right now. I can tell you what's true, I can tell you what's not true about both of them. So if you've got questions about either one of them, reach out. The next one is the people running for treasurer to replace Zach Conine. There's Tia. She works in the treasurer's office currently under Zach Conine. And then there is Joe Dahlia, who is a sitting assembly member. He's been there one term. He worked for Facebook for a long time as an attorney. Now, he's done like a lot of business law stuff. So you have a person who's currently in the treasurer's office, done a lot of good work there, has a long history in that office. And then you have somebody who's coming from the state assembly. Have opinions in that race? I'm happy to let you know them one-on-one. We have someone running for controller. I don't think that one's super competitive. And then, yeah, it's mostly legislative races that we're paying attention to, especially in Southern Nevada. Northern Nevada, you don't have as many competitive open seats. Our friend Natha's running, folks like that. But down here, we have some hotly contested open seats for the Nevada legislature. So, and then there's also some hotly contested like primaries on the Dem side. We have a lot of DSA folks primarying sitting incumbents in the Nevada legislature.
And for a non-political person, what does DSA stand for?
The Democratic Socialists of America. So there's a lot of those folks who are currently primarying sitting Democratic assembly people. I think there's 8 of them that are being primaried. And I have a lot of opinions about those races too. So go ahead and reach out because most of my very dear friends are the ones being primaried. So have a lot of opinions. So yeah, a lot of competitive races. There's judges. Like I said, I've got a whole list. If you want the list, I'm happy to share it with you. We are not here to tell you who to vote for. But we are here to answer your questions and give you real answers. I have friends who are voting for Nicole. I have friends who are voting for Zach. I know the reasons why they're doing both. I know where I stand on the issue. I'm not going to say it on here. And so, some of the stuff might surprise you. So reach out. We're happy to tell you where we stand and happy to give you information to let you make the best educated vote you can.
Absolutely.
Anything I missed? Anything you want to add?
I think you covered at least the races, but I do want to emphasize and add to sort of your frustration about why turnout is important, especially in primaries. This is how you select the people that end up running in the bigger election. So for people that don't understand how it works, this is the time to do it. So if you really don't like one candidate or you really do like one, this is the time to actually make your voice heard and vote for or against whoever, whatever you stand. And I say that because so many people keep talking about, how did we get here, especially with Trump? He got through all of the Republican primaries, and so many people that thought he wasn't going to get through didn't vote, or they didn't think he was going to make it. And he ended up just sweeping and making it and making it. And this is also, primaries are the time where you really get to truly hold candidates' feet to the fire, because you get to see if they really represent the values of whatever party you're registered with and register for. It's not just, Democrats choosing Democrats. It's like, if you are a Democrat, if you are a Republican, if that's what you stand for, make sure that the person that is going to be in the general election stands for what you stand for. This is the time where you get to really interrogate that, literally, right? I encourage also people to all of these races that Annette mentioned. If you care, if you don't know something about one of them, and if you care about whatever you care about, look at their websites, go to their biographies, read what they're about, and feel free to contact them. Feel free to email them. Don't wait for them to be in office, but if you genuinely have a question and a gripe, don't just tweet at them, contact them and let them know you're a person who knows what they're about. And say, why did you say this? Why do you think this? Tell me more, because they are asking for your vote. They are asking for you to take time to put them in office to work for your interests. So start now. Don't wait until it's the general. Don't wait for them to get into office. Start now and start asking questions now. And you totally can. Totally can. Like email them, call them if they have a number on their website. If you see them in the supermarket, ask them, why do you say this in your ad? Or what does this mean? Or where do you
Or
stand
is
on
this
this?
mailer true? Like we were talking about
Right.
before. So I think it was going to be my hot take because I'm really fucking lit up about this.
Mm,
But we'll just do it now. Okay. So let's
go
explain
forth.
PACs. Because I think this PAC thing is really important, right? And there's been a lot of
Oh, yeah.
conversation about it this election cycle because a lot of people don't understand PACs. So, political action committees. I see them as a necessary evil in the political process as it stands right now. We can debate money in politics, we can have conversations about how to change the system, but operating within the system we currently have, most people I know, most of the groups we work with, they have PACs. Now, these are not super PACs, which are a very different apparatus at the federal level. I'm talking statewide PACs, Nevada PACs, which have very different rules than super PACs at the national level. So I think that this is an important distinction. I personally have a PAC. The PAC has a board. We work on candidate issues. Now, if I'm working on a race, I cannot coordinate with that candidate to do my PAC stuff. So if I'm working on a race for a certain legislative candidate, my PAC cannot do PAC work also for that candidate. Now, my PAC can donate to that candidate, but it cannot dictate how that candidate spends the money or anything, right? If it's doing what's called my PAC is doing what's called an independent expenditure, or IE, the candidate cannot coordinate with the IE in any way, shape, or form, and there cannot be any contact between the candidate and the PAC. So there are rules in place, there's donation limits, things like that, because these are state PACs. They're governed by the state of Nevada, and they're all registered with the Secretary of State, and they should be following reporting rules and reporting every couple months. And the rules are posted on the Nevada Secretary of State's website and in the NRS, the Nevada Revised Statutes. It's in law on how these things are supposed to operate and how these things are supposed to report their finances. Long story short, lots of candidates who will come in and do independent expenditures on their behalf. They're not supposed to have any kind of coordination. So let's hope in this case there was no coordination. One of our very dear friends, another Maria Teresa, her name is Maria Teresa Hank. She's the flight attendant who we were talking about at the very beginning of the show. She is running for the Nevada Assembly. I am helping on a race. Therefore, my PAC is not getting involved, right? I have been doing the communications work for her for free because that's what you do when a friend runs. You help them all the ways you can. And this week, there was a piece of mail put out by her opponent, who I will not say his name because I do not like him. By her opponent, by her opponent's supportive PAC of her opponent. I should say it like that. Not her opponent himself, by a supportive PAC of her opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And this PAC put out the craziest twisting of words I may have ever seen from a PAC, right? Like, it was funny because I like fully went down the rabbit hole on this, right? Because like, I always believe when you do opposition mail or when you do negative mail, which you and I have done a lot of in our past. I mean, I put people's pictures on wanted posters before. Like, we've done the whole thing. I am not opposed to negative mail. I think it has its place, but it needs to be true and it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
documented.
Mm-hmm.
So this PAC puts out this thing saying like she supports school vouchers, which is not true. She was on Channel 8 in August and didn't know what school choice meant in that moment and said, I need to explore this and learn more about this before I answer the question. They
Mm-hmm.
took that and twisted it and said she wants to explore moving money from public schools, which is not what she said.
No,
Since
it
then, she has
sounds.
learned a lot
Uh-huh.
about vouchers and putting money into public schools and things like that, and now has been endorsed by the Nevada State Education Association, who has a very strong
Very.
anti-voucher stance. You
Yeah.
worked for them, Maria. You know this.
Yeah.
In
Yeah. It's
no
kind of.
world would she be endorsed by them if she was pro-voucher or pro-moving public money.
No. Unlike CCEA, the other teachers union, they wouldn't, because that is like you people always say hill to die on. That would be a hill to die on for NSEA, is school
I
vouchers.
also wouldn't work for a candidate who was pro-vouchers.
Yeah.
There's like a handful of issues that are like my core value issues. It's like
Mm-hmm.
abortion, guns, vouchers, right? Like there's a handful of issues, trans rights. Like there are a handful of like core issues like that are my litmus test. Like, are you a
Right.
decent human being? Should you be in office? If
Mhm.
you don't meet those core values, then we can't probably be friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and
So then
mhm. Keep going, yeah.
So then, on this mailer, it also said that she would have an open door policy to everyone, including MAGA Republicans.
That's what you're supposed to do as an elected official. Like, if you end up getting elected, like, you doesn't
You meet with everybody.
was that Queen Koopa? Did Queen Koopa make that mailer? Because this sounds like Trump throwing rocks at a baby.
There it is. There it is.
This sounds like just throwing whatever you can to see what sticks. But nowhere, if someone says it, nowhere are they saying, I'm going to agree with them. You're supposed to have an open door, especially if you get elected, because guess what? Whether you're a Republican, a person who never wants to vote and is completely apathetic, you represent every person in your district, and you should have an open door for every single one of them.
So then this mailer said she has an ego because she was at some point, and I can't even find this, Maria. I can't even find where this exists because the documentation at the bottom, we call them proof points. The
Yeah.
documentation at the bottom that's supposed to tie back to where she said these things are not real.
Right.
So it says, our community deserves a representative who works for the people. This person, Maria Teresa Hank, has been a shop steward for her transport workers union for 36 years. The bill she helped run last time was a King Care bill with Huey Witten, with Assemblymember Huey Witten, dear friend, to allow union workers to get paid time off if they have a sick family member they need to care for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what an
egomaniac.
What an egomaniac. Also, someone who on television, someone who says, I don't know about something and I need to explore more about it. Again, not on whether she'll vote one way or the other, but that she genuinely does not know what that phrasing or that issue is about and is going to learn
And
more.
doesn't want to answer because she doesn't want to get it wrong.
That doesn't strike me as an egotistical maniac or a megalomaniac. It strikes me as someone who genuinely doesn't want to lie to people and make up something on the spot to save her ego. It sounds like someone who's willing to sacrifice her ego and say, I don't know.
And here's the bigger part of it too, right? Like, that was at the beginning of her candidacy. It's been 9 long months of learning, of meeting with constituents, meeting with voters, meeting with people in the district, meeting with groups in the community. She's learned all kinds of shit. You and I have had 20 plus years to know what these things are, and hence why we do our podcast, right? It is immense privilege to be able to do the work we do and know the facts we know about different issues. Hence why we do this, to answer questions on politics and demystify it. This is a person who was a shop steward. She has her degree in politics or in political science from UNLV, but like that does not mean you know what school choice means automatically. Right? This is a person who was on her kid's PTA and knows kind of what it means, but like isn't sure. I'd rather someone not answer the question than lie.
Yeah, that's an honest person. That's probably as honest as you'll get for a politician.
So this leads me to the mail conversation. You know, you're getting a lot. If you're in Nevada, or especially if you're in a competitive district, or you're a Democrat in this state, or you're in CD2, right? And you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're getting a lot of mail right now. And you're in your email, on social media, you're getting a lot of ads, you're getting a lot of targeted digital ads, but you're also getting a lot of mail, like physical mail in your mailbox, right? Look over that with a fine tooth comb is all I'm going to tell you. Don't believe everything you see. Because if a good mail piece is done right, it is well documented down in the footnotes at the bottom, and you can easily find the source to what they said when. And usually it will be like a screenshot, or it will link back to a social media post, not just like I looked at her social media, but like it will link back to a specific post on a specific day. So before you just blindly believe a mailer, or reach out to the candidate directly and ask if this shit's real, because I guarantee you somewhere it's twisted. But if something feels outlandish to you, reach out and
Mhm.
ask questions. It is a
Yeah.
it is your duty as a voter to check the footnotes and make sure, especially if it's coming from a PAC that you don't know who it is, that those facts and figures are real. Now, let's take it a step further. This PAC is run by a gentleman who works for the candidate running against Maria, like in their day-to-day jobs.
That doesn't sound legal. Does not sound legal.
Just gonna take a sip of water because I'm over here like, my PAC's not getting involved. I'm too heavily involved in the campaign. But this person works for that person? Seems shady to me.
That sounds very, very shady.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, I know we've droned on and on tonight about the election, but this is the time to make your decision about candidates. This is the time to do your research. I know most of these people before they even send out mail. I know who I'm voting for, right? Because I've worked
Mhm.
with all of them. But if you don't know and you want to see what happens the last 3 weeks, because you never know what can come out about somebody the last 3 weeks, wait
Mhm.
until the very end, right? Wait until election day. You might be bugged a lot. You might be canvassed a lot. You might be phone called a lot. But if you really want to see how some of these races turn out, wait until the end. See what else
Yeah.
comes out about people.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
All right. We'll talk data centers next week.
Yeah.
Election was too
Because
important.
the election took up everything.
That's okay. We can still go to a WTF is happening in the world because there's always bad news to go to there. We'll hit it quick.
Yeah, we'll hit it. We'll hit it quick. We'll hit it within. We can do it within the next 15 for sure. Another shooting happened, Annette. This
Yeah.
time in San Diego.
Hate crime at a mosque. They're already calling it a hate crime. We are filming on Monday, May 18th. The
Yep.
shooting happened earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely disgusting. The shooters killed 3 people at a mosque in San
Mm-hmm.
Diego, and then they killed themselves in their car, apparently.
Yeah, and you know what the most terrible thing is? Is there was an update here that there's reporting that the suspect's mother contacted police and found a note, and there's no like reporting further on what she said or what the note said, at least for now. But that's very, very interesting. It brings us back to what the heck are we gonna do to actually, you can't stop all violence, but I mean, teenagers are getting access to guns because
Yeah.
this was done by teenagers.
Absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
2 teen suspects were also found dead. Hate
Mm-hmm.
speech was written on one of the guns. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's horrifying.
But you want something
We
good.
also yeah, go ahead.
Minnesota County,
Oh,
where Minneapolis is formally charging an ICE officer that was involved in a non-fatal shooting during Trump's immigration crackdown in the city.
good.
So they announced that today they are charging 4 counts of second-degree assault and 1 count of falsely reporting a crime because, oh wow, they're lying about what these people are doing in order to detain them. But what I love is the quote from the Hennepin County attorney, Mary Moriarty. She said, "Mr. Castro is an ICE agent, but his federal badge does not make him immune from state charges from his criminal conduct in Minnesota." So for all you ICE agents or all you ICE lovers out there, states get to enforce their own state laws, even if you are whoever you are. So good on the county, Hennepin County and Minnesota actually moving forward towards charging the ICE agents, at least one of them so far. There's probably more
Well,
coming for sure.
that's good. Hopefully we do see that because unacceptable behavior.
Yeah. And speaking of unacceptable behavior, you're just giving all the segues today. We talked about Cuba last week and the US flying spy planes literally into Cuba. Want to know what Cuba's leader said today? And it's not Fidel Castro. He died. For if people are out there, like that was a long time ago. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said that there will be a bloodbath because, quote, Cuba
Lovely.
does not represent a threat and Cuba is brave and they're Cuban. The Cuban people, this was another commentator said, the Cuban people do not let anyone interfere with their land. And Kennedy knows about that.
I was gonna say,
Many people know about that.
should they go ask Kennedy about the Bay of Pigs?
Yeah, yeah. To all you, and to all everybody, you can have whatever opinion you have about the Cuban government, about whatever. But since the beginning of, especially the Anglos coming to this country, the US has wanted to have Cuba. It took parts of Mexico. There's also an interesting theory about how Manifest Destiny wasn't just going west, but going all the way down. This is part of it. But sorry, Cuba isn't it. Cuba has resisted throughout the years, and they promise they're going to keep resisting. But there's just there's this fight for taking over Cuba. But guess what, y'all? We don't get to take over countries. We don't get to tell other countries how to run themselves. Like, we don't. Even if it's not right, even if you don't give a shit, you don't do it with a weapon. You can support groups that are working towards whatever end you like. That is part of a democracy. But you don't get to just roll in with spy planes and then act shocked when they say, there's going to be a bloodbath and we're actually going to defend ourselves.
Did you see that the Cubans now are, because gasoline has been one of the weapons that the US has been using against Cuba to like cut the people off of Cuba, or cut the people of Cuba off of gasoline. So one of the things that the people of Cuba have been doing is converting their homes to solar, but like doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And like putting like solar panels out on like the sides of the apartment buildings and stuff. I was like, good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Don't let the United States bully you.
Yeah. And
they're scrappy. They've had all kinds of shit put on them. They've had all kinds of, over the years, different embargoes or fines and all kinds of shit put on them. They're scrappy.
I mean, they created their own COVID vaccine internally without any help from anyone, not even the World Health Organization, because the embargo also says that.
And they also have amazing scientists there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all been developed internally because the embargo that the US imposed is also that the US will not work with countries and do commerce with countries and companies that separately work with Cuba. So the embargo is many ways. And so much of the situation also in Cuba over the last few years that has been one of demise is because of the United States, because of the embargo. And so there's, one of the many reasons why there is no American exceptionalism. And by the way, the United States doesn't own America. Cuba was American before there was even a revolutionary war in the United States. Cuba's way older, y'all.
That's why we want it so bad.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with Cuba. It's never had anything to do with Cuba. It's always been about it being, for those of you who are like, oh, this is about communism. No, it wasn't. Listen, that's precious. That's what our government fed everyone. It was Fidel Castro and this and that.
No.
Sure, did Fidel Castro have his problems? Absolutely. Did the government have its problems? Sure.
So did the one before him.
It was none of our fucking business. Yeah, it was none of our fucking business, and it's never been our fucking business. The reason why we wanted it was because it is a strategic location in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted it because it's so close to the tip of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted it because Russia and the SSSR at the time was fueling them, and they were afraid they were going to get some sort of rocket or missile or nuke and come after us. Come on, friends. This has nothing to do with communism. This has everything to do with it being a strategic location that we want to control.
Yeah.
Just like Venezuela.
Just because we don't want anyone to match whatever power we think we have.
Just like Iran. Just like fucking Iran. Don't give me this shit that we're there to liberate people. We ain't there to liberate fucking anybody.
Look, Iran, I was watching a documentary. Iran is the country where the wheel was created. So I think if there's any country that can do shit for themselves, it's Iran.
These people are wild to me.
Yeah. I think that last one, I think that whole section was my hot take and my headache, both in one. Because it just worked.
God. It's so funny. Like, come on. Like, stop. Just stop. God. All right, Maria. Well, it's been one of those kinds of weeks, days. It's Monday.
Yeah.
It never ends. Hey, well, let's go into hot takes and headaches, because I do have a hot take.
Okay. What is?
Did you see that the President of the United States, Mr. I Can't Blend My Makeup, Mango Mussolini, he over the weekend was tweeting about nuking people from space? Did you happen to catch that?
No, I did not. Fun.
Yeah. let me see if I can get the graphic up because
So it's like throwing rocks at a baby from space.
yeah.
He's like really, he really, that's a proof point of what that book said, that he's the type of person who just wants to nuke people from space, throw rocks at babies.
You got to see this though, because like I saw it and I was like, this can't be real. Nope, it was real. It was real. Hang on. All right, I found it.
What the fuck? No way. He made the image of a AI generated image of a Kim on a console. Fuck. That's terrible.
Nuking people from space. Also, your cheeks aren't they don't look like that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that as a chunky person.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is gross.
Every week there's something. I mean, every day there's something, right?
Mm-hmm. What a good time. What a good time to be alive.
Yeah, that's what we're calling this. You got any other hot takes, headaches, things you're watching, things you're reading?
No, it's very weird to say. My hot take is I can't wait to go to Argentina and not have U.S. news. Well, who knows? But their president is awful, so I'll just be replacing one with the other.
I'll be
But
interested to see what they have to say about the hantavirus stuff.
yeah, it'll be interesting,
Yeah,
especially since now it's
they
different
deal with it
because
on
of
a
this
regular basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a regular thing, and so far people aren't scared. There's like special hand sanitizer for like hantavirus too that you can get.
Or just like don't go to landfills.
Yeah, no, just don't be some weird Dutch tourist that is like, I'm gonna go to a landfill.
Watch
I wouldn't even go
birds.
I wouldn't go one here. Like, it's not a place
I
you
don't
should
even
go
like
to.
going to the dump to drop shit off. It stinks.
No. It's why trash people all over the world wear like gloves and boots and long sleeve clothing and
It's like a thankless job.
yeah, because you shouldn't be near that shit. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So when you go to Argentina, don't go to the dump, okay?
Nope, I won't.
I mean, you kind of like live in a dump at this point. I mean, like we're basically in a dump.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the U.S. as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're very dump-y. Oh, God. All right. Well, it's been a real pleasure tonight. I'm really glad that you and I could have this conversation every week,
Of
though, like we
course.
do.
Of course.
While I was talking about the election stuff, I had an idea. If people want us to have any candidates on, if you want to hear some of the candidates, let us know.
Yeah.
Try to get some candidates on over the next couple of weeks. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
If there's anybody want to hear from, let me know. Put it in chat.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't forget, speaking of the chat, don't forget to comment, rate, like, subscribe, share with your friends, family, and enemies. And comment.
Bots of the internet. Big
and
ball
bots of the internet.
6969.
Yeah. And Queen Koopa, we said what we said. Debate over. And once again, thank you, Rick from TikTok, for watching and reading our comment,
And
responding to your
asking a
comment.
good question.
And yeah. And then thanking us for the context. Teaching lesson for us. That's our final bell. We can all learn.
Everyone. Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next week. Share this with friends.
Bye.
Bye.